going to talk about why design matters and how to make it work for your business so that you can use it to actually make more revenue in your business. And I know that sounds like a clickbaity thing, but it actually is true. And there's some studies that show that good design can bring in more revenue. I also know that this can be a little bit of an overwhelming topic because I know a lot of business owners did not get started in their business because they want to be designers or that they have that skill. Maybe you don't feel like you're very artsy or you don't have any of the background to have good designs, but I'm going to break it down into some ways that are a little more simple. I also am going to have a gift for people who stay all the way to the end. And I'm going to mention something that I have available to help you with this in a simple and inexpensive way that can help you improve your design. My name's Allie and I'm a brand and website designer, and I help women service providers create effective and beautiful branding and website materials for their business that actually have a strategy behind them. So it's not just something that's pretty and looks good, although that, like I'm going to talk about today, is important, but it's also something that has an element of thought behind it and actually gets results. And good design does that as well. Raise your hand if you've ever played a white elephant at a Christmas party. Everyone brings a bunch of gifts and you put your name in a hat, you get numbers, and then you go around via the numbers and everybody takes a turn unwrapping a gift, or they can start stealing from other people. That's the fun part. But it's funny, every time I've gone to one of these, inevitably there is the gift that's wrapped in the brown paper bag, and someone always makes the comment like, oh, that's probably the best gift. And you know what? It might be, it's probably true, but it's so funny. Every time it's one of the last gifts that gets opened, even though we've all said like maybe it was the best one. No one wants to take that chance. So it's just human psychology. We're attracted to things that are beautiful. We like that pretty package, whether it's in nature, in our food, in the products we buy. And yes, this also applies to your business with your website, your logo, your brochure. And design isn't just about the visual, although that's part of it. It's also how something functions. If you go to a website and you find that you can't find your way around, or you get stuck somewhere, or there's a pop-up that comes up on your phone and you can't get it to close, those are all elements of design, and those are really crucial things that you need to think through. And so those two things combined mean that good design is something that you should consider when investing in your business. And I know it can feel like a luxury. It can feel like, oh, it's just something extra. It's hard to identify the impact of this. A lot of us are like, it's just packaging, right? Does that really matter? It's the content that counts, but it's not quite the case. So here's why good design matters. And I do want to clarify first, I'm not necessarily just talking about a curated Instagram feed. And I'm not saying that's something you need to aspire toward, is to having everything be perfect and curated and look polished and unreal. I do think there's a place for being real in our businesses and being real on social media and in our design, definitely. But there also needs to be an element of professionalism when it comes to the certain things that we're presenting in our business, whether it's graphics or a website or a brochure, that kind of thing. Here's number one. Why design matters. You only have a few seconds to make an impression. And in fact, it's less than that. Our brains process visual data at a lightning speed. It's much faster than text. So if you go to a website, just fractions of seconds of when you get there, you're already informing assumptions and judgments about that business. There was a study from Google Research that found that visitors form an opinion about a business within just 50 milliseconds, which is just like a blink of an eye. And first impressions matter. Once someone has a first impression, it's hard to change. So if they come to your business and that impression is formed, you might not get a second chance to change their mind. So you want to be aware of that when it comes to your website, when it comes to the design of your graphics in your social media feed. And number two is it results in higher sales. There are studies that have found that there is a correlation between great design and higher revenue. It gives a potential customer a perception that your business is more credible and professional, and that is something that leads to trust. Trust is a really big thing when it comes to how people make their buying decisions, because we are all emotional beings. We don't make buying decisions based on logic. We need to trust a business before we give them our money. Studies have found that money invested in design has a many-fold return. So whatever you put into it, you're going to get back in multiples. For example, we all know the difference between an Apple and a PC. Apple is a company that has been obsessive about its design, about how it looks, about how it feels, about the experience that a user has. And it's been rewarded with a cult following. And certainly The two products are very similar. They do the same basic functions, but there are people that are only Mac users because of that. It can affect your sales, whether it's better or not. The next one is that it helps you build a brand. I talk about branding a lot in my business because it's something that I help a lot of women's service providers establish. Your brand is, and I'm not just talking about a logo, right? Or just your colors or your fonts, although those are little pieces of your brand that help support a greater message. But your brand is bigger than that. It is your message, it is what helps you stand out. It is the experience that you provide. So a lot of it isn't something that is necessarily physical or easy to identify, but it's something that's important to really think through about your messaging, about your target market, about how to create certain perceptions and support the message that you want to send. So good design can support branding efforts if you're trying to build a brand. And I've seen on the flip side, I've seen a lot of women go out and spend the time and effort to build a brand, but not apply it to their everyday design, whether that's in their social media or their website. And then you're not actually getting to see the results that a brand can have. So the next one is that it gives you credibility. If you showed up at a doctor's office and his office was in his living room, you might be a little bit wary of, is this guy legit? Does he actually have the credentials that he says? So when our design is not credible, or when it looks DIY'd, or there's things that are off with it, that can affect your credibility. And so people will doubt that you have the qualifications that you do, even if you are the most qualified in your space. On the flip side, people are more likely to believe businesses that have good design. And if they believe you, they will buy from you. The next one is that bad design is expensive. A lot of times we just consider the expense of a designer, but there is a cost to bad design, and it can come in a variety of different ways. This can be like frustration from the end user. It can be drop-offs on our website. It can be customer complaints in like service complaints. It can be a sour taste from someone who's interacting with your business. How often have you had a frustrating experience like trying to make someone's website work and then given up because you can't figure it out? So you might not realize it at first, but you're going to pay for it in some way. To revisit these one more time. So the first one is first impressions matter, and it really supports a positive first impression when you have good design. Number 2 is good design results in higher sales and more revenue for your business. Number 3 is it helps you build your brand, something that you should be trying to build and support and sustain and constantly refine. It also gives you credibility. And the last one is that bad design is expensive too, so you're going to pay for it some way. You might as well pay for it in a way that actually helps your business grow. You're like, okay, I get it. Like, it's important, but what do I do about this? I'm not necessarily a creative person. This isn't what I'm good at. I get that. And there are a number of different ways to address this. Yes, one of the options is to hire a designer, especially for things that are crucial to your business, like a website or something that someone's going to see a lot. I know that not every business is in a place to do that, and that's okay. You start where you are. You can always hire someone later. If you can afford it, I always recommend it for the big things. The things that are really going to count in your business and help your business grow are worth the investment. And that it might mean that handing it off to a professional is the most efficient and most effective way to do that. That's not the only answer though. There are ways that you can invest in a course to help you learn some basics that help you improve. You can bounce things off of other people in your space or friends that know what you're doing and they also understand design. And then you can read about it. There's tons of blogs and resources all over the internet on it. But here's some basics that I will just leave you with. I'm going to run through these pretty quickly, but it'll at least give you just a sense as you're moving forward with some design, especially simple things like social media graphics. You can apply these really easily and they can make a big difference. So number 1 is white space. This is also called negative space sometimes, but that's basically the areas of your graphic that do not have anything in them. And it's a very neglected aspect of design for people who aren't familiar with it. A lot of people try to cram way too much stuff in their graphic. They want to make sure that they're covering all the bases. That can be really overwhelming to the user. In fact, sometimes it's so overwhelming that they just pass it by. It's like, I can't stop to read that. So keep it simple. Make sure there's lots of space around your photos, around your text, that there's space between text. That's something I see a lot is people, their lines are crowded together and you can't read it. So make sure you factor in white space. Number 2 is clarity and legibility. So if people cannot read what you're trying to say, then it is a waste of time. And a lot of people, they want to be creative, and so they add in these flashy fonts or all these photos or these things layered together. But really, simplicity is best. Err on that side because you want people to understand what you're trying to say. Clarity is so crucial in design. Don't sacrifice legibility for creativity. Clarity wins every time. Number 3 is balance. So consider that everything in your graphic has a weight. Like, what if it had actually a physical weight? You want to make sure that your graphic's not tipping off to one side. There's not all the stuff's on the left, and so the right looks like it's going to flip off your page. So you want to add some things on the other side to balance that out a bit. It doesn't have to be like perfectly equal. If you put something in the upper left corner, then you want something grounding that on the lower right. So it's not just all on one side. Number 4 is alignment, making sure the elements of your graphic are lined up. If you have a list, you want them all lined up together. Some graphics, you want everything aligned to the center. And fortunately, we have lots of tools in our graphic design software that will line those up for us. So like Canva has the position tool. You can just click everything, hit the align to left or align to center, and it just does it automatically for you. But you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that when you're designing. And then simplicity is always a good thing to err on the side of. Just keeping it simple. Making sure your graphic has the basics. There's a beauty in simplicity, and people are attracted to that. We see it in someone else's graphic and we're like, oh, that's so beautiful, it's so simple. But then when we design, it's hard to do that. We're like, oh, we need to add more stuff in. Just let it be simple. It's better that it be simple than overcomplicated. If you've made it all the way to the end with me here, I have 44 free Canva templates that I'm happy to gift to you. These are things that you literally are designed for you, and you can just plug things in. And that's definitely another route to go as far as making sure your design looks professional, is using templates. And Canva has a ton of them themselves. Sometimes I steer clear from those because I tend to see them a lot. Millions of people have access to them. You'll start to see the same templates over and over. So if you want something more unique, I do have a template bundle. It's called a Nice Social Growth Bundle. If you're interested in that, drop bundle in the comments and I can send you the link to get that. It's just $27. There's 181 graphics, and then there's also a 10-week prompt calendar, so that can help you get your brain rolling as far as what to post, and then have a professionally looking graphic that you can customize and post here on social media. It's not going to be one that everybody has. I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope this is helpful for you. If you have any questions about any of this, just drop those in the comments, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.